Uh, Bollocks. Excuse my language. I'm recording this at about 5:30, having just a few minutes ago watched Thundercloud Rompone at 10-1. Oh, maybe I'm recording this as a form of therapy. I haven't quite got the overstay whip out. Um, no problem with the thinking around Eponina. Uh, she's been rushed out of the gate there. Missed. No, I think she was slightly slow away, but she's been lit up. She has not settled at all through that, and that's cost her any chance. It probably was. Well, I thought she might burn off Foxy Boy, the car horse, but I won't go into that. I clearly got the pace angle a bit wrong as he wasn't able to lead. But I thought, for my own um, educational purposes, and you might find it interesting as well, I was close to Thundercloud. I talked myself out of um, her. Is it a her? Yeah. For a couple of reasons, but in hindsight, obviously, and it's always clearer in hindsight, that was a bit idiotic. She did tick plenty of boxes. She was a stats qualifier in Section 1. Sadly, didn't hit any of the strategies or any of the main ones. But what could I learn taking forwards? And what I did think about looking at her, I am trying to get my head into the mindset of, well, either horses in form and trainers in form, and certainly kind of class moves. And this horse was in form, if you can see down here, returned in May on seasonal reappearance in a Class 6 3-year-old only handicap. That race worked out well. I should have put more weight on that, clearly. Remember, this horse was 10-1 in the morning. Why do I keep focusing on these bloody horses that are under 6-1? Which history suggests I'm pretty crap at nailing, and I'm much more comfortable in throwing darts at bigger price ones. I don't think it was a case of desperation, but who knows? Always something to improve on. So yes, let's look at this. Thundercloud's win in a Class 6, let's remember, at Redcar, and on seasonal reappearance after a break. So actually, maybe this horse does like a bit of a gap between racing, and I didn't think that this morning. I maybe should have thought about that 40-day break in a slightly different way. In general, I like flat horses to be turned out a bit quicker, but clearly that's one of those things that might not be backed up by many stats and clearly differs for horse to horse, trainer to trainer. But looking at this race, there was some depth to it. The Dunlop horse has won since, the Fell horse has won since, a couple further back in the field. So that was a decent enough 3-year-old handicap for the grade. At least there was some strength and depth to that Class 6. Then ran at Newmarket in a Class 5. Decent run, stayed on, only beaten a couple of lengths. Under today's jockey, and maybe that should have made me overlook some of the negative stats he had at the track. Now the winner didn't frank it, but Simply Breathless has since come out and won twice since. One of those in a Class 4, as you can see there, so there was some decent substance to that. The horse she split, we had the Burrows horse, or he's since come out, or she's since come out and won in a Class 5 handicap and did that well enough. So there's some strength there to the horses that Thundercloud split. Then raced at Nottingham, so had course form under a different jockey. Again, ran okay, and that was a race that produced some decent form. So clearly here, well, that's Starboy for George Scott that came just behind Thundercloud since won a couple of races since. So some strength there. One of Stoutley's since, where did he run and he placed? So, you know, the horses were running well and there's some strength to that form, as there was to Eponina's, but maybe on reflection, not as much. So we've already got I should have had in my mind the idea that this horse has had a decent level of form, and then I'm looking for reasons why today might be the day that she returned to the winners' enclosure. Well, there's a jockey switch. Paddy Mathers is back on and actually ridden her well. There's a headgear switch. It's hard to tell whether that's a positive or a negative, given she didn't do much when it was last worn, but that was at Southwell at the back end of the season. At least it's doing something different. Of more important, the return to Nottingham where she ran the race before, but it was that drop, well, two changes, a drop into a Class 6, and also the fact that she ran for the first time in an all-age handicap, which means she got the allowances, only £6 on ratings below the horse I went for, but you can see there received a whole stone, so got kind of what was that, £6, £7, £8 or so more than she should have done in terms of the rating. Because of the allowances. So putting all of those things as an unexposed 3-year-old that had a decent level of form, and those changes at 10-1 this morning hit my stats pack. Clearly there are reasons there why I should be a bit annoyed with myself, and maybe you should be annoyed that I didn't select that one at more than twice the price of the horse I went for. So that was a bit idiotic. The final thing I'll say is I did think that Eponina would be able to kind of lead and stack them up, and this one had ran as if she wanted the pace to aim at, and I wasn't sure it'd be run to suit. But those are the kind of issues when you have little niggles like that, that then you have to think about price. And 10-1 in the context of this, in the context I was happy to take on what was a 7-4 favourite at the time for the reasons discussed in the write-up. She really should have been higher on the top of the list. And actually, if I just finally flipped inform speed ratings, these high numbers for this horse did influence me here. That last time out wasn't too bad on these numbers, but I suppose I should have maybe put a bit more emphasis on she had the top rating for those that had run at the track, and her form score in terms of how it had worked out was up there, and you can see why actually from some of those things I've looked through. And I do use this dashboard and Horse Race Base and GG's to help with such thinking. You can see there Thundercloud was 3rd rated. So yes, as I tick around the 7 minutes, that will do for this kind of quick look back. And it's always important to try and learn. I am getting better at looking at all of those factors I've just discussed, the kind of key, especially the kind of hop form, the class move, the jockey switch. The trainer was going okay. It wasn't red hot, but not disastrous in the context of price. And clearly, maybe I should have been a bit close to tipping that one. But of course, I'm saying that having just watched her bolt up, I thought some of those things before the race, and I made the wrong decision. So we can clearly improve. But hopefully, you've picked up something from that quick little look back that you can apply to your own thinking moving forwards, or with any luck you may have applied it better than I have already and actually backed Thunderclouds. But I will leave that there, and until the next time, this is Josh saying thanks for watching and bye for now.